Welcome to this week's MMA Studio 106. A quiet week regarding fights, but a big week for UFC news. Last week it was announced that the UFC has been sold for $4 billion. The Fertittas are out and Dana White is still in. $4 billion is for the UFC a huge amount of money. It's more than the price of Real Madrid. In the MMA world, the reactions are mixed. First and foremost, it shows that MMA is a part of the mainstream sport industry. And for that price, the new owners have to keep bringing the sport further on. We will see for sure expansions in Asia, Latin America and Europe. And for the fans and the fighters, this has to be great. On the contrary, it's more likely that the fighters' underpay has been huge. For the first time, journalists and fans now get a reliable number for the UFC incomes. Previously, pay-per-view and sponsor earnings have been kept a secret from the MMA community. As most of Europe is on summer holiday, the MMA world are holding their breath for the Conor McGregor vs Diaz fight. Some of the fans are upset about the Jon Jones mess and the fact that we will not see Jones for at least a couple of years in the octagon, if ever. His test showed traces of estrogen blockers. It shows not only for the USADA, but also for the rest of the fight fans, that Jones most likely has been using performance-enhancing drugs for quite some time. Estrogen blockers are taken in the end of a steroid cycle to get the testosterone levels back on track. The Jones saga might be the worst thing that could happen to Daniel Cormier. If Jones isn't able or allowed to show up for a title fight, it will be questioned if Cormier's belt is legit or not. For most fight fans, it's hard to take in that the Cormier vs Jones fight might never happen. The fighter, Donald Cerrone, keeps on bringing us news. Speaking at the Q&A during the UFC Fan Expo at Las Vegas Convention Center on Sunday, he said Daniel Cormier, I quote, fought like a faggot against Anderson Silva at UFC 200. Cormier used a conservative wrestling heavy style against Silva. Hours later, Donald Cerrone, also known as Cowboy, apologized for the remark on Instagram, saying it was offensive and he had let down the family in the LGBTQ community. The apology post was later deleted. A UFC official told MMAfighting.com that Cerrone stood by the apology, but the post was deleted because the comments became vile and derogatory to the people Cerrone was apologizing to. On Twitter, Cerrone said he used the wrong choice of words, but it was taken totally out of context. In other news, Brock Lesnar is facing a USADA anti-doping violation after testing positive for a banned substance in June 28th drug test. Lesnar, though, also come back clean in multiple previous tests. MMAfighting.com confirmed Friday night with USADA. We'll get to the bottom of this, Lesnar said in a statement to the Associated Press. The UFC announced Lesnar's potential anti-doping violation Friday. USADA got the results back from the lab Thursday night. Because the results had yet to come back in time, Lesnar was still allowed to fight Hunt at UFC 200 in Las Vegas. Lesnar defeated Hunt by unanimous decision. That result could be overturned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, which also retains jurisdiction, in this case because of the sample collections proximately to the fight, according to MMAfighting.com. Belator, back in London. Evangelista Santos lost to Michael Page at Saturday's Belator 158, and it will take a while before he's able to return in action. Page dropped Cyborg with a vicious flying knee in the second round of the welterweight contest at the O2 Arena in London. And the Brazilian told the MMAfighting.com on Sunday that he is currently in hospital with a serious fracture in his forehead. Ouch. I'm under observation now and I will have surgery in the United States. I had serious injury, but Belator is giving me all the support I need. Santos took the fight on short notice after 1-1 in his previous Belator fights, and says that this injury will keep him in sideline for a while, but doesn't mean the end of his mixed martial arts career. I will be back soon, he said, and we certainly hope so. That's it for this week's MMA news. Subscribe and stay tuned so we can keep you up to date on whatever happens in the magnificent and sometimes wild world of MMA.